I'm so sorry I didn't make a video last week. I've been in a kind of a tough time emotionally, and oh my goodness, the past couple of weeks have actually been kind of busy. So I'm really sorry that I missed a video last week. So I wanted to get on and just let y'all know a little bit of what's going on. As I started to say, I've been having kind of a tough time. Um, I've been, for one thing, my allergies are actually kicking my butt, and I'm taking allergy medicine. So just imagine if I wasn't. But uh, another part of it is emotional because my therapist and I were talking, and we both think that there's what he calls orphan dreams. Um, Not orphan dreams, orphan memories that are way deep in the back of my brain, and they're trying to come out and are manifesting themselves in my dreams. And so I haven't had the most restful sleep the past couple of weeks. I mean, I've had enough sleep to where I'm okay, but it hasn't been the most restful because I've had some weird, whacked out dreams dealing with my ex. And he said to expect this because there's probably um, more memories that haven't come up yet that may be trying to come up, and for lack of a better term, my brain is fighting them, which drives me crazy because I'm the type of person where I'd rather them all come out all at once and I'd get going full both barrels and just get them knocked out. But I just got to trust the process with my brain, and God has been there. God has been faithful. Um, as y'all know, I took a month off work, and I've been fighting to try to get the short term disability pay, and that's been a debacle. And I haven't gotten paid yet. But that whole month that I did not get paid, I mean, I got a paycheck from work since I've been back at work, but that whole month that I didn't get paid, God was there. And I still somehow had money to pay my bills, get groceries, all of that stuff. So God is taking care of me, of which just boggles my mind as at that I'm someone that God cares about. Of course, He cares for everyone, but I'm just very grateful. Um, as far as my mental health, it could be better, but it's been a lot worse um, over this past year and 2 months. Um, I've really grown a lot, and I'm even starting to see it because for the longest time, others were seeing my growth, but I wasn't. Um, I think part of it is because I deal with myself on a 24/7 basis. And then I really don't think of myself very often, so I don't notice the change. But now, even I'm starting to notice the change. Um, Looking back on my journal, thinking back how I was last year at this time, I've really come a long way. And it's so empowering. And that's what I want to encourage you today as a an abuse survivor. Um, to be gentle with yourself, but also know that each day that you're away from your abuser, each day that adds up, that's growth. Because it's hard to get away from your abuser. I know firsthand experience, it was hard as anything. What ultimately made me make the decision was because I knew I would never have a relationship with my kids if I didn't, because of how he was. And had I not had my kids, I kind of wonder if I would still be with him. Um, because I had so little self worth, so little self esteem that I didn't think I was worth anything. I didn't think that I was worth having a decent life, a drama free life. I didn't think I was worth having someone care about me. And no, I don't have anybody now. I'm nowhere near ready. I got too much baggage to have anybody, but I'm good with that. I've said that before. I'm not really looking for anybody. I'm having fun being my own person. And I mean, if the right one came along, I wouldn't argue, but God would have to put a neon sign on him. This one, this one, this one. Because I'd be so scared. But I'm in a good place right now. And that's what I want to encourage other survivors is that, for one thing, when you leave your abuser, your worth is not um, dependent upon if you have someone. In fact, it's best that you don't go in a relationship even 6 months down the line. Sometimes it works out well that way, but more oftentimes it doesn't because you're so busy processing and decompressing that rebound relationships rarely ever work. Yeah, there are exceptions, but you need time for yourself because you don't need a significant other, a spouse, uh, to validate you. The fact that you are a survivor and that you conquered that demon and now you're on the other side of it, that that is all you need. That is an accomplishment right there, especially for you single mamas that do this and still have little ones. Um, I Part of why I didn't leave back in '07 when I had put him and called the cops on him the first time was because I had youngers. Um, Now my oldest was 18, but my daughter was 14 and my youngest was just about to turn 6. And though I was in a position, I look back now and I could see that I was in a position where I could have made it as a single mom. um, because the two oldest would have helped me with the younger um, in a heartbeat. My daughter alone, she's my right hand gal. And I didn't, but it still scared me. And ultimately, I took him back because I was scared. I didn't know that I could have done it on my own. I thought I needed him, and my ex, that is. And I was scared to do it on my own. I was thinking that the right thing to do was try to save the marriage, which things would have turned out so much better had I stayed gone. And I regret that, but I'm coming to peace with it because, as my therapist reminds me over and over again, I made decisions with information that I had at that point. Um, and I wasn't strong enough. And I wish I was, but it's in the past. And the past is no longer relevant. Um, I'm making up for it now. I think I have such a wonderful relationship with my kids now. It's, y'all have no idea how wonderful it is to have my oldest call me just to check up on me, to make sure I got home safe. If he knew I was going somewhere, doing something, he would say, "Text me when you get home, Ma." And if I forget to text him, which the way my brain is, sometimes I'm lucky I remember to breathe. And he'll say, "Are you home?" "Oh, yeah, sorry." And he'll make sure that I'm home. My daughter, it's so wonderful that she knows she can call me and talk to me. There have been times that she's been kind of down and she'll call me just to hear my voice. Guys, you have no idea how that feels good. And I don't want to reveal too much about her. It's things, I don't reveal too much about my kids because it's their stories to tell, not mine. But it just feels so good for them to know that they can call me. And it feels wonderful. My youngest still lives with me, even though he'll be 20 in July. Heaven help me. Um, and he'll come out of his room and we'll have a conversation. Just a wonderful conversation, silly conversation. Um, or we've had some pretty deep philosophical conversations that have been amazing because we'll just go off and start talking and what if, but if this happened, and it's just wonderful. So I wouldn't trade the relationship I have with my kids for anything, and I have that now, and it is so much of a blessing. um Things are starting to work out with my foundation. I hopefully, if I can get myself going, I'll have a business plan in full swing and ready to send off for to try to get grants and financing because my foundation, I want to connect with churches, hook up with churches in my area. So I'm looking to get that business plan going, get started on the nonprofit designation, and try to get churches involved. Um, I can't say a whole lot about it right now because it's still in the works, but I do have a name, and the name is Strengthen Families. So I'm really excited, and I can't wait to tell you guys more about it. And I'm more involved with my church. Um, my church is a small one, and we're looking to grow. And being involved with helping my church grow is awesome. Um, and so I've got all of these plus sides. And I think part of what's going on with me is I've been a year now without having to be on constant fight or flight mode. And so my body is starting to relax. And my body and my brain are like, okay, how do we handle this? How do we handle this? When is the next shoe going to drop? And I've even found myself when, like, a minor hiccup has happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, how's that going to happen? How's it? And my brain literally starts locking. And it's like, oh, wait, no, it's not that bad. And then I have to calm myself down. And it's, so it's been a process to try to get used to just no drama, not having to worry when the next shoe is going to drop, not having to constantly be on the defensive because I got to be prepared for anything that triggered my ex. And trust me when I say it didn't take much to trigger him. The sun didn't shine exactly right, and he would complain about it. I mean, that's the equivalent of what would go on. I mean, if he didn't have anything to complain about, he would find something to complain about. And so to go from that to not having any drama, being able to have things pretty low key, nothing too terribly wrong. I mean, life's not perfect. You got your good days and your bad days. But to go from constantly living on the edge and not in a good way to peace and quiet, it's nice, but my body's trying to get used to it. My body and my mind, because I haven't had that in, I want to say at least 20 years. I mean, I've told y'all about how I wouldn't even go into a grocery store, especially our local grocery store that's a few blocks away, because he was so foolish when it came to people. If somebody looked at him wrong, he automatically assumed they were giving him mean mug for something, and he'd be wanting to spout off, and I wasn't going to get myself tangled up in that because it was a catch-22 thing. If I stuck up for him and backed him up as his wife, then I could get myself in trouble. But then if I didn't back him up and I told the authorities the truth, had it come to that, I'd have never heard the end of it from him. Oh my goodness, I'd have heard it. If we lived to be 120 years old, I'd hear it all the way until then. So, to save myself at least a little grief, I just stayed in the car when he went to the grocery store. Because usually when we went to that particular grocery store, it was just to get a few things, including his vodka. So I had no desire to go in. And I couldn't stand going anywhere with him except for a few places, like going out to eat, because except for a couple of places, um, it was like he was trying to pick a fight. He would wear these outlandish clothes that made him look like Wyatt Earp, um, just to get attention. And my youngest son and I were talking today, and it occurred to me that some things that he said his life was like, really, we don't think were. We think he said that just to kind of one up on me on my life. Because my life with my mother was wonderful. But I didn't have an easy childhood. It wasn't the easiest, especially when I was dealing with my father. And as you know, I was molested by a very, very trusted family friend when I was younger. And I was talking to my youngest son, and I were talking this morning, and it dawned on me. I had mentioned in a church Bible study one time that I was raped 30 some years ago. And everybody was coming up to me afterwards because it was part of the conversation and what we were studying about overcoming. And it was a passage in the Bible that really got to me. And so I felt led to talk about it. It's not something I really talk about a lot. And other people after the study came up to me and congratulated me for my strength and saying how they admired it and stuff. And I couldn't understand because to me it wasn't strength. I trusted these people. I knew I was safe telling my story to them. So, and it fit what we were studying in the Bible. So I talked about it. And that's when he started talking about things that supposedly happened to him in his life. I won't go into it because it's not even worth mentioning. But he mentioned it and he talked about it because he wanted attention. And because he wanted to one up me. You know, saying, because I got the attention that day, which I didn't even say it for the attention. I said it simply because it fit for the conversation at the Bible study. That was it. And this is the kind of life I led with him. I had to weigh everything I said, everything I talked about. And so to go from that to being able to talk about whatever I want, if it gets back to him and he don't like it, oh well, tough tooties. Um, and all my body is just like, okay, how do we handle this? So I think it's just starting to set in with my body since I'm not having the flashbacks really anymore, thankfully, for the moment at least. And I'm not really having heavy triggers. I'm having some, but not, I'm able to de escalate myself pretty quick. But that's all because of therapy. I worked hard at the therapy. And so now my brain is trying to grasp not constantly living on fight or flight. And I'm seeing other things come out in me. I'm actually seeing the confidence that I never had. Um, I can't tell you how many people have told me that I'm always so happy, that I seem happy now. I seem I had bless her heart, I had a church member the other day say that I look light. And I know what she meant. It was I looked like I had a burden lifted off of me. And I have, because I don't have the burden of having to live on fight or flight literally every waking moment. And night times were worse because by the night time he was drunker than anything, and he was turning into a mean drunk. And that's when we would have our worst um our worst arguments and our worst fights. And it was getting progressively worse with each passing month, because when I stopped giving him the reactions he wanted, and I actually started getting courage and started pushing back, I mean, figuratively, verbally, um, that's when he started getting worse and worse and crueler and crueler. Um, because I try to keep these videos pretty kid friendly, I don't think I'll ever say exactly what he told me over the years. But suffice it to say, think of the cruelest thing that someone could tell you, multiply it by 3, and then you have an idea. And so I can see the growth now. I can see the the confidence that I have, the lightheartedness. And yeah, there are mornings I wake up and I feel like there's such a heavy burden on me. I'm like, God, please lift this burden. I can't handle this. And He helps me. So I want to make sure that, I'm not by any stretch, uh, everything's all rainbow and roses, because they're not. Um, I'm still struggling with being overwhelmed in getting stuff done around my house. I mean, my house is not, um, it's not filthy and nasty, but it's kind of cluttered. And I'm getting there little by little. I'm getting things straightened up, but it's hard because it's overwhelming. Um, and I'm still somewhat emotionally um, exhausted over all of this because, y'all, I mean, I lived in constant fight or flight for a good 10 years straight. I mean, I had to live in fight or flight for longer than that, but I'm talking about constant fight or flight where every waking moment I was having to think ahead, be on the defensive. I had to do that for at least 10 years. That's my estimate. I'm sure it's more than that. But, so I'm still rebounding from that. So there are days where if I get the dishes done, I count that as a victory. If I make my bed, I count that as a double victory. And if I take a shower, I count that as a victory. Um, I'm trying to focus on the things that I do rather than things that I don't. Because if I focus on everything that I'm not doing, I will be in a constant state of depression. But if I concentrate on everything I'm doing or have done throughout the day, and take the little victories. If all you've done is empty the kitchen, empty the sink and put the dishes in the dishwasher, or if you don't have a dishwasher, you wash the dishes and they're in the drain board drying, but you didn't put them away, that's still a victory. You got those dishes washed. That's something. If all you did the whole day was just make your bed, it's the weirdest thing. I follow this person, Simple Purposeful Living, on Instagram. And she's a wonderful mom that comes up with simple things to help throughout the day, help you stay focused, and help your mind be at a better place. And she said that she always makes her bed. Making her bed, and she makes her bed. She has the fluffy pillows and the, all of that stuff on it. I don't. I just pull my covers, straighten my sheets, pull my covers over my pillow, and call it good. But she said that she timed herself one time. It takes less than 5 minutes to completely make her bed, including the throw pillows and the shams, the whole bit. And just having a made bed puts her in the right frame of mind for everything else. And it does. Because when I do something like simple, like make my bed, even if I have to wait, like on a work day, I get up, clock into work, and then I don't make my bed until my first break, let's say. But just making my bed, even if it's wait until my first break, or sometimes it's not until lunch because I forget to do it on my first break. That sets up the rest of the day, and it feels good to walk in my room and have my bed made. So basically, I just want to encourage you to look at the little victories, look how much you've grown, because the longer you're away from your abuser, the more you grow. You may not give yourself credit for it, you may not even think you are. But each day that you're away from your abuser, that's a victory. Just like I celebrate how long I am away from, that I've been away from him, I have been divorced for over 7 months now, and I've been away from him for over 14 months now. And that's amazing. I have never been away from him that long. I think the longest I stayed away from him was back in '07. He stayed gone for a little over 3 months. So I obliterated that record. So just basically an update on what's going on with me. Hopefully next week I'll be able to tell you some more stuff that's going on. But in the meantime, stay encouraged. Take each day as it comes and know that you're doing good and that you did the right thing by leaving the abuser. Even on the hard days, you still did the right thing. And the hardest days without your abuser is way better than any so-called easy day with that abuser. Stay blessed. Like this video, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, and you guys have a wonderful week. Bye.